Is military action imminent? That's the real thing. He was suggesting it would be military action as opposed to something else.
He said exactly what he said. He said it well. He didn't suggest anything. If there was anything about last night's speech, it was that it had near-perfect clarity.
But a senior administration official after the speech said he didn't necessarily mean to say military action, but it could be other action.
What do you mean necessarily mean to say? He didn't say. He not only didn't necessarily say, he did not say. He said exactly what he said.
He seemed to suggest, and therefore, perhaps it isn't that clear. You see, it's perfect clarity. It isn't clear, is it?
Oh, I think it is.
You made a speech last week in which you said, quote, "The best in some cases, the only defense is a good offense." Now, that's a major change of U.S. defense policy, is it not? Have we ever taken a preemptory strike against another country without them first attacking us?
If you think about it, we have no choice. A terrorist can attack at any time, at any place, using a range of techniques. It is physically impossible to defend at every time, in every location, against every conceivable technique of terrorism. Therefore, if your goal is to stop it, you cannot stop it by defense. You can only stop it by taking the battle to the terrorists where they are and going after them.
There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of support among the allies in Europe for another U.S. military strike at Iraq with the aim of regime change or getting rid of Saddam Hussein. Can you go it alone?
I'm not going to get into that. You can be sure the United States isn't going to do anything that it's not capable of doing, and if we do something, we'll be capable of doing it. But it's not for me to make those judgments.
You saw the story in today's USA Today on the front page, suggesting that your military chiefs are not enthusiastic about going after Iraq right now, that the military might be stretched too thin already in Afghanistan.
I meet with those folks all the time. I have no reason to give credence to that.
Mr. Secretary, what do you make of the statement made by the Iraqi government yesterday that Iraq has no weapons of mass destruction and is not developing any?
They're lying. Next.
Is there evidence, what kind of evidence is there, that the government of Iraq is in any way hosting, supporting, sponsoring al-Qaeda or any other terrorists inside Iraq?
Well, I suppose at some moment it may make sense to discuss that publicly, and it doesn't today. But what I have said is a fact, that there are al-Qaeda in a number of locations in Iraq, and the suggestion that those people who are so attentive in denying human rights to their population aren't aware of where these folks are or what they're doing is ludicrous.
Tariq Aziz said this morning, he characterized you and several other people in the Bush administration as warmongers, as using the issue of inspections as a pretext to try to topple the regime. And he said he is willing to sit down and talk about all of the issues involving Iraq.
Well, I've met with Tariq Aziz a number of times, both in Baghdad and in Washington and elsewhere. Clearly he does the bidding of his master, Saddam Hussein. They have, over a good many years, demonstrated wonderful talent and skill at manipulating the media, and international organizations and other countries. When it's the right moment to lean forward, they lean forward. When it's the right moment to lean back, they lean back. And it's a dance. It's a dance they engage in.
The president has, I think, put it exactly right. He has said that the one choice we don't have is to do nothing.
If an inspection team goes in now and finds nothing because perhaps Iraq is very good at hiding it, or perhaps they have nothing, but you all are of the belief that they have it. If they find nothing, does it make your job more difficult in trying to assemble an international coalition?
Goodness gracious, that is kind of like looking down the road for every conceivable pothole you can find and then driving into it. I just don't get up in the morning and ask myself that. We know they have weapons of mass destruction. We know they have active programs. There isn't any debate about it. So the idea that if you had an appropriate inspection regime, that they'd come back and say you were wrong is so far beyond anyone's imagination that it's not something.
Is the U.S. in any way exaggerating or misleading the American public in regard to the potential threat posed by Iraq?
Is the U.S. government, you mean the senior members of the administration? Not to my knowledge. And if I knew of an instance, I would certainly correct it.
Does the United States have the evidence to know when Iraq presents its declaration? Will you be able to look at that and tell whether they're telling the truth and being forthcoming, or will you be able to tell right away that you're on a path to war with Iraq?
Well, the latter is, of course, a decision for the President, the Security Council, other countries to make judgments about. It's not for me. The United States knows that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. The UK knows that they have weapons of mass destruction. Any country on the face of the earth with an active intelligence program knows that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction.
The President has said that Iraqi cooperation is not encouraging yesterday, and Kofi Annan today says cooperation seems to be good by the Iraqis.
Is the glass half empty, half full?
Well,
I don't see that's a big deal.
You don't?
No.
Mr. Secretary?
I mean, they seem to be doing what is being asked of them by inspectors, and by that, Kofi Annan says cooperation seems to be good. Why is cooperation not good?
You'd have to ask the President.
They're letting people in.
Maybe he's looking at intelligence that somebody else isn't seeing. I don't know.
What should the public know right now about what a war with Iraq would look like and what the cost would be?
Cost in dollars or cost in lives?
Dollars and human costs.
Mm-hmm. Well, the lesser important is the cost in dollars. Human life is a treasure. Office of Management and Budget estimated it would be something under $50 billion.
Outside estimates say up to $300 billion.
Baloney.
Is the U.S. military ready to go against Iraq?
Yes.
Are you and your folks planning for a ferocious war? I mean, an all-out defense by the Iraqi military?
The task of war planners is to plan for every conceivable contingency, and they are doing that, from the most pessimistic to the most optimistic.